Chapter 1 of Monsieur Beaucaire. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Thomas Copeland. Monsieur Beaucaire by Booth Tarkington. Chapter 1. The young Frenchman did very well what he had planned to do. His guess that the Duke would cheat proved good. As the unshod half-dozen figures that had been standing noiselessly in the entryway stole softly into the shadows of the chamber, he leaned across the table and smilingly plucked a card out of the big Englishman's sleeve. "Merci, Monsieur le Duc," he laughed, rising and stepping back from the table. The Englishman cried out, "It means the dirty work of silencing you with my bare hands," and came at him. "Do not move," said Monsieur Beaucaire, so sharply that the other paused. "Observe behind you." The Englishman turned, and saw what trap he had blundered into, then stood transfixed, impotent, alternately scarlet with rage and white with the vital shame of discovery. Monsieur Beaucaire remarked, indicating the silent figures by a polite wave of the hand, "Is it not a compliment to Monsieur that I procure 6 large men to subdue him? They are quite devout to me, and Monsieur is alone. Could it be that he did not wish even his lackeys to know he play with the young Frenchman whom Mr. Nash does not like in the pump room? Monsieur is unfortunate to have come on foot and alone to my apartment." The Duke's mouth foamed over with chaotic revilement. His captor smiled brightly and made a slight gesture, as one who brushes aside a boisterous insect. With the same motion he quelled to stony quiet a resentful impetus of his servants towards the Englishman. "It's murder it is, you carrion," finished the Duke. Monsieur Beaucaire lifted his shoulders in a mock shiver. "What words! No, no killing! A such word to a such host! No, not murder, only disgrace." He laughed a clear, light laugh, with a rising inflection, seeming to launch himself upon an adventurous quest for sympathy. "You little devilish scullion!" spat out the Duke. "Tut, tut! But I forget, Monsieur has pursued his studies of deportment amongst his fellow countrymen. Do you dream a soul in Bath will take your word that that Monsieur le Duc of Winterset had a card up his sleeve? You pitiful stroller, you stable boy, born in a stable! Is it not an honor to be born where Monsieur must have been bred? You scurvy footboy, you greasy barber, you cutthroat groom! Overwhelm!" The young man bowed with imperturbable elation. "Monsieur le Duc appoint me to all the office of his household." "You mustachioed fool! There are not 5 people of quality in Bath will speak to you." "No, monsieur, not on the parade. But how many come to play with me here? Because I play always, night or day, for what one will, for any long, and always fair, monsieur." "You outrageous varlet! Everyone knows you came to England as the French ambassador's barber. What man of fashion will listen to you? Who will believe you?" "All people, monsieur. Do you think I have not calculate that I shall make a failure of my little enterprise? Bah! Will monsieur not reseat himself?" Monsieur Beaucaire made a low bow. "So we must not be too tired for Lady Malbourne's rout. Aha! And you, Jean Victor, and you others, retire. Go in the hallway. Attend at the entrance, Francois. So, now we shall talk. Monsieur, I wish you to think very cool. Then listen. I will be briefly. It is that I am well known to be all entire honest. Gamblist? Ah, yes, true and most profitable, but fair, always fair. Everyone says that. Is it not so? Think of it! And is there never a whisper come to Monsieur le Duc that not all people believe him to play always honest? Ha ha! Did it almost be said to him last year, after when he play with Milord Capinfort at the chocolate house? You dirty scandal-monger, the Duke burst out. Monsieur, said the Frenchman, it is a poor valor to insult a helpless captor. Can he retort upon his own victim? But it is for you to think of what I say. True, I am not recognized on the parade, that my friends who come here do not present me to the ladies, that Mr. Nash has rebuffed me in the pump-room. Still, am I not known for being honest and fair in my play? And will I not be belief, even I, when I lift my voice and charge you aloud with what is already whisper? Think of it. You are a noble, and there will be some hang-dogs who might not fall away from you, only such will be left to you. Do you want it told? And you can keep out of France, monsieur? I have left his service, but I have still the ear of Monsieur de Mirepoix, and he know I never lie. Not a gentleman will pay you when you come to Paris." The Englishman's white lip showed a row of scarlet dots upon it. "How much do you want?" he said. The room rang with the gay laughter of Beaucaire. "I hold your note for 700 pound. You can have them, monsieur. Why does a such great man come to play Monsieur Beaucaire? Because no one else willing to play Monsieur le Duc. He cannot pay. Ha ha! So he come to good Monsieur Beaucaire. Money? Ha ha! What I want with money?" His Grace of Winterset's features were set awry to a sinister pattern. He sat glaring at his companion in a snarling silence. "Money? Poof!" snapped the little gambler. No. It is that Monsieur the Duke impoverish, somewhat in a bad odor as he is, yet command the entrée anywhere unless I. Ha ha! Eh, monsieur? Ha! You dare to think to force me?" Monsieur Beaucaire twirled the tip of his slender moustache around the end of his white forefinger. Then he said, "Monsieur and me going to Lady Malbourne's ball tonight, Monsieur le Duc and me." The Englishman roared, "Curse your impudence!" "Sit quiet. Oh, yes, that's all. We going together?" "No." "Certain. I make all my little plan. 'Tis all arrange." He paused, and then said gravely, "You go and present me to Lady Mary Carlisle." The other laughed in utter scorn. "Lady Mary Carlisle, of all women alive, would be the first to prefer the devil to a man of no birth, barber." "'Tis all arrange. Have no fear. Nobody question monsieur's guest. You go and take me tonight?" "No." "Yes." "And after? Then I have the entrée. Is it much I ask? This one little favor, and I never whisper, never breathe, that it is to say, I am always forever silent of monsieur's misfortune." "You have the entrée?" sneered the other. "Go to a lackey's rout and dance with the kitchen maids. If I would, I could not present you to Bath society. I should have cartels from the fathers, brothers, and lovers of every wench and madam in the place, even I. You would be thrust from Lady Malbourne's door 5 minutes after you entered it." No. "Half the gentlemen in Bath have been here to play. They would know you, wouldn't they, fool? You had thousands out of Bantison, Brackle, Guilford, and Townbrake. They would have you lashed by the grooms as your ugly deserts are. You, to speak to Lady Mary Carlisle! Odds blood! You! Also, dolt, she would know you, if you escaped the others. She stood within a yard of you when Nash expelled you the pump-room."
Monsieur Beaucaire flushed slightly. "You think I did not see?" he asked. "Do you dream that because Winterset introduces a low fellow he will be tolerated? That Bath will receive a barber?" "I have the distinction to call monsieur's attention," replied the young man gaily. "I have renounced that profession." "Fool!" "I am now a man of honor." "Faugh!" "A man of the parts," continued the young Frenchman, "and of deportment. Is it not so? Have you seen me of a fluster, or gross ever, or what shall I say, bourgeois? Shall you be
Shame for your guest's manner?
No, no. And my appearance, is it of the people? Clearly no. Do I not compare in taste of apparel with your young Englishman? Ha, ha! To be hope. Ha, ha! So I am going talk with Lady Mary Carlisle. Bah! The Duke made a savage burlesque.
Lady Mary Carlisle? May I assume the honor of presenting the barber of the Marquis of Mirepoix? So is it? No, monsieur, smiled the young man. Quite not so. You shall have nothing to worry you, nothing in the world. I am going to assassinate my poor mustachio, also remove this horrible black peruke, and emerge in my own hair. Behold! He swept the heavy curled mass from his head as he spoke, and his hair, coiled under the great wig, fell to his shoulders and sparkled yellow in the candlelight. He tossed his head to shake the hair back from his cheeks. When it is dress, I am transformed. Nobody can know me. You shall observe. See how little I ask of you, how very little bit. No one shall recognize Monsieur Beaucaire or Victor. Ha, ha! 'Tis all arranged. You have nothing to fear." "Curse you!" said the Duke. "Do you think I'm going to be saddled with you wherever I go as long as you choose?" "A mistake. No. All I beg is this one evening. 'Tis all shall be necessary. After, I shall not need monsieur." "Take heed to yourself. After," vouchsafed the Englishman between his teeth. "Conquered!" cried Monsieur Beaucaire, and clapped his hands gleefully. "Conquered for the night. Aha! It is reasonable. I shall meet what you send after. One cannot hope too much of your patience. It is but natural you should attempt a little avengement for the rascal trap I was such a wicked fellow as to set for you. I shall meet some strange friends of yours after tonight, not so? I must try not to be too much frightened." He looked at the Duke curiously. "You want to know why I create this tragedy? Why I am so unkind as to entrap monsieur?" His Grace of Winterset replied with a chill glance. A pulse in the nobleman's cheek beat less relentlessly. His eye raged not so bitterly. The steady purple of his own color was returning. His voice was less hoarse. He was regaining his habit. "'Tis ever the manner of the vulgar," he observed, "to wish to be seen with people of fashion." "Oh, no, no, no!" the Frenchman laughed. "'Tis not that. Am I not already one of these men of fashion? I lack only the reputation of birth. Monsieur is going supply that. Ha, ha! I shall be noble from tonight. Victor, the artist, is condemned to death. His throat shall be cut with his own razor. Monsieur Beaucaire—" Here the young man sprang to his feet, caught up the black wig, clapped into it a dice box from the table, and hurled it violently through the open door. "Monsieur Beaucaire shall be choked with his own dice box. Who is the phoenix to remain? What advantage have I not over other men of rank who are merely born to it? I may choose my own. No, choose for me, monsieur. Shall I be chevalier, comte, vicomte, marquis? What? None.
Out of compliment to monsieur, can I wish to be anything he is not? No, no. I shall be Monsieur le Duc de Chateaurien. Ha, ha! You see? You are my confrère." Monsieur Beaucaire trod a dainty step or two, waving his hand politely to the Duke, as though in invitation to join the celebration of his rank. The Englishman watched, his eyes still and harsh, already gathering in craftiness. Beaucaire stopped suddenly. "But how I forget my age! I am 23, he said with a sigh. "I rejoice too much to be of the quality. It has been too great for me, and I had always believed myself free of such ambition. I thought it was enough to behold the opera without wishing to sing, but no. England have teach me I have those vulgar desire. Monsieur, I am going tell you a secret. The ladies of your country are very different than ours. One may adore the demoiselle, one must worship the lady of England. Our ladies have it is the beauty of youth. Yours remain comely at 30. Ours are flowers, yours are stars. See, I betray myself. I am so poor a patriot. And there is one among these stars, ah, yes, there is one, the poor Frenchman has observed from his humble distance. Even there he could bask in the glowing." Monsieur Beaucaire turned to the window and looked out into the dark. He did not see the lights of the town. When he turned again, he had half forgotten his prisoner. Other pictures were before him. "Ah, what radiance!" he cried. "Those people up over the sky, they want to show they wish the earth to be happy. So they smile and make this lady, gold-haired, an angel of heaven, and yet a Diana of the chase. I see her fly by me on her great horse one day. She touch his mane with her fingers. I buy that clipping from the groom. I have it here with my dear brother's picture. Ah, you! Oh, yes, you laugh. What do you know? 'Twas all I could get. But I have heard of the endeavor of Monsieur le Duc to recoup his fortunes. This alliance shall fail. It is not the way. That heritage shall be safe from him. It is you and me, monsieur. You can laugh. The war is open, and by me. There is one great step taken. Until tonight, there was nothing for you to ruin. Tomorrow you have got a noble of France, your own protégé, to besiege and sack. And you are to lose because you think such ruin easy, and because you understand nothing, far less of divinity. How could you know? You have not the fiber. The heart of a lady is a blank to you. You know nothing of the vibration. There are some words that were made only to tell of Lady Mary, for her alone. Bellissima, divine, glorieuse. Ah, how I have watched her! It is sad to me when I see her surrounded by your young captains, your nobles, your rattles, your beaux. Ha, ha! And I must hold far aloof. It is sad for me, but oh, just to watch her and to wonder. Strange it is, but I have almost cry out with rapture at a look I have see her give another man. So beautiful it was, so tender, so dazzling the eyes, and so mirthful of the lips. Ah, divine coquetry! A look for another? Ay, may! For many others, and even to you one day, a rose, while I, monsieur, could not even be so blessed as to be the ground beneath her little shoe. But tonight, monsieur, ah, ha, ha, tonight, monsieur, you and me, two princes, Monsieur le Duc de Winterset and Monsieur le Duc de Chateaurien, ha, ha, you see, we are going arm in arm to that ball, and I am going have one of those looks, I, and a rose, I. It is time. But 10 minutes, monsieur, I make my apology to keep you waiting so long while I go in the next room and execute my poor mustachio. That will be my only murder for just this one evening, and invest myself in white satin. Ah, ah, I shall be very grand, monsieur. Francois, send Louis to me. Victor, to order 2 chairs for monsieur and me. We are going out in the world tonight.
End of chapter 1. Chapter 2 of Monsieur Beaucaire. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Thomas Copeland. Monsieur Beaucaire by Booth Tarkington. Chapter 2.
The chairmen swarmed in the street at Lady Marlborough's door, where the joyous vulgar fought with muddy footmen and tipsy link boys for places of vantage whence to catch a glimpse of quality and of raiment at its utmost. Dawn was in the east, and the guests were departing. Singly or in pairs, glittering in finery, they came mincing down the steps, the ghost of the night's smirk fading to jadedness as they sought the dark recesses of their chairs. From within sounded the twang of fiddles still swinging manfully at it, and the windows were bright with the light of many candles. When the door was flung open to call the chair of Lady Mary Carlisle, there was an eager pressure of the throng to see. A small, fair gentleman in white satin came out upon the steps, turned and bowed before a lady who appeared in the doorway, a lady whose royal loveliness was given to view for a moment in that glowing frame. The crowd sent up a hearty English cheer for the beauty of Bath. The gentleman smiled upon them delightedly. "What enchanting people!" he cried. "Why did I not know? So I might have shout with them." The lady noticed the people not at all, whereat, being pleased, the people cheered again. The gentleman offered her his hand. She made a slow courtesy, placed the tips of her fingers upon his own. "I am honored, Monsieur de Chateaurien," she said. "No, no," he cried earnestly. "Behold a poor Frenchman whom emperors should envy." Then reverently, and with the pride of his gallant office vibrant in every line of his light figure, invested in white satin and very grand, as he had prophesied, Monsieur le Duc de Chateaurien handed Lady Mary Carlisle down the steps, an achievement which had figured in the ambitions of 7 other gentlemen during the evening. "Am I to be left in such unhappiness?" he said in a low voice. "That rose I have begged for so long?" "Never," said Lady Mary. "Ah, I do not deserve it, I know so well, but never. It is the greatness of my unworthiness that alone can claim your charity. Let your kind heart give this little rose, this great alms, to the poor beggar. Never." She was seated in the chair. "Ah, give the rose," he whispered. Her beauty shone dazzlingly on him out of the dimness. "Never," she flashed defiantly as she was closed in. "Never, never." The rose fell at his feet. "A rose lasts till morning," said a voice behind him. Turning, Monsieur de Chateaurien looked beamingly upon the face of the Duke of Winterset. "'Tis already daylight," he replied, pointing to the east. "Monsieur, was it not enough honor for you to hand out Madame, the aunt of Lady Mary? Lady Rellerton retained much trace of beauty. 'Tis strange you did not appear more happy." "The rose is of an unlucky color, I think," observed the Duke. "The color of a blush, my brother." "Unlucky, I still maintain," said the other calmly. "The color of the veins of a Frenchman." "Ha, ha!" cried the young man. "What price would be too high? A rose is a rose. A good night, my brother, a good night. I wish you dreams of roses, red roses, only beautiful red roses." "Stay! Did you see the look she gave these street folk when they shouted for her? And how are you higher than they when she knows? As high as yonder horse boy. Red roses, my brother, only roses. I wish you dreams of red roses."
End of chapter 2. Chapter 3 of Monsieur Beaucaire. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Thomas Copeland. Monsieur Beaucaire by Booth Tarkington, Chapter 3. 'Twas well agreed by the fashion of Bath that Monsieur le Duc de Chateaubriand was a person of sensibility and haut ton, that his retinue and equipage surpassed in elegance, that his person was exquisite, his manner engaging. In the company of gentlemen his ease was slightly tinged with graciousness, his single equal in Bath being his Grace of Winterset. But it was remarked that when he bowed over a lady's hand, his air bespoke only a gay and tender reverence. He was the idol of the dowagers within a week after his appearance. Matrons warmed to him, young belles looked sweetly on him, while the gentlemen were won to admiration or envy. He was of prodigious wealth. Old Mr. Bicksit, who dared not for his fame's sake fail to have seen all things, had visited Chateaubriand under the present Duke's father, and descanted to the curious upon its grandeurs. The young noble had one fault: he was so poor a gambler. He cared nothing for the hazards of a die or the turn of a card. Gaily admitting that he had been born with no spirit of adventure in him, he was sure, he declared, that he failed of much happiness by his lack of taste in such matters. But he was not long wanting the occasion to prove his taste in the matter of handling a weapon. A certain lead captain, Rohrer by name, notorious amongst other things for bearing a dexterous and bloodthirsty blade, came to Bath post-haste one night, and justled heartily against him in the pump-room on the following morning. Monsieur de Chateaubriand bowed, and turned aside without offence, continuing a conversation with some gentleman near by. Captain Rohrer justled against him a second time. Monsieur de Chateaubriand looked him in the eye, and apologized pleasantly for being so much in the way. Thereupon Rohrer procured an introduction to him, and made some observations derogatory to the valor and virtue of the French. There was current a curious piece of gossip of the French court. A prince of the royal blood, grandson of the late regent, and second in the line of succession to the throne of France, had rebelled against the authority of Louis XV., who had commanded him to marry the Princess Henriette, cousin to both of them. The princess was reported to be openly devoted to the cousin who refused to accept her hand at the bidding of the king, and, as rumor ran, the prince's caprice elected in preference the discipline of Vincennes, to which retirement the furious king had consigned him. The story was the staple gossip of all polite Europe, and Captain Rohrer, having in his mind a purpose to make use of it in leading up to a statement that should be general to the damage of all French women, and which a Frenchman might not pass over as he might a jog of the elbow, repeated it with garbled truths to make a scandal of a story which bore none on a plain relation. He did not reach his deduction. Monsieur de Chateaubriand, breaking into his narrative, addressed him very quietly. "Monsieur," he said, "none but swine denies the nobleness of that good and gentle lady, Mademoiselle la Princesse de Bourbon-Conti. Every Frenchman know that her cousin is a bad rebel and ingrate, who had only honor and respect for her, but was so willful he could not let even the king say, 'You shall marry here, you shall marry there.' My friends," the young man turned to the others, "may I ask you to close round in a circle for one moment? It is clearly shown that the Duke of Orleans is a scurvy fellow, but not—" he wheeled about and touched Captain Rohrer on the brow with the back of his gloved hand, "but not so scurvy as thou swine of the gutter." 2 hours later, with perfect ease, he ran Captain Rohrer through the left shoulder, after which he sent a basket of red roses to the Duke of Winterset. In a few days he had another captain to fight. This was a ruffling buck who had the astounding indiscretion to proclaim Monsieur de Chateaubriand an impostor. There was no Chateaubriand, he swore. The Frenchman laughed in his face, and at twilight of the same day pinked him carefully through the right shoulder. It was not that he could not put aside the insult to himself, he declared to Mr. Molyneux, his second, and the few witnesses, as he handed his wet sword to his lackey. One of his station could not be insulted by a doubt of that station, but he fought in the quarrel of his friend Winterset. This rascal had asserted that Monsieur le Duc had introduced an impostor.
Could he overlook the insult to a friend, one to whom he owed his kind reception in Bath? Then, bending over his fallen adversary, he whispered, "Naughty man! Tell your master find some better quarrel for the next he send against me." The conduct of Monsieur de Chateaurien was pronounced admirable. There was no surprise when the young foreigner fell naturally into the long train of followers of the beautiful Lady Mary Carlisle, nor was there great astonishment that he should obtain marked favor in her eyes, shown so plainly that my Lord Townbrake, Sir Hugh Guilford, and the rich Squire Bantison, all of whom had followed her through 3 seasons, swore with rage, and his Grace of Winterset stalked from her aunt's house with black brows. Meeting the Duke there on the evening after his second encounter, de Chateaurien smiled upon him brilliantly. "It was badly done, oh, so badly," he whispered. "Can you afford to have me strip of my mask by any but yourself? You, who introduce me? They will say there is some bad scandal, that I could force you to be my godfather. You must get the courage yourself." "I told you a rose had a short life," was the answer.
"Oh, those roses! 'Tis the very greatest reason to gather each day a fresh one." He took a red bud from his breast for an instant, and touched it to his lips. "Monsieur de Chateaurien?" It was Lady Mary's voice. She stood at the table, where a vacant place had been left beside her. "Monsieur de Chateaurien, we have been waiting very long for you." The Duke saw the look she did not know she gave the Frenchman, and he lost countenance for a moment. "We approach a climax, eh, monsieur?" said Monsieur de Chateaurien. End of chapter 3. Chapter 4 of Monsieur Beaucaire. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Thomas Copeland. Monsieur Beaucaire by Booth Tarkington, Chapter 4. There fell a clear September night, when the moon was radiant over town and country, over cobbled streets and winding roads. From the fields the mists rose slowly, and the air was mild and fragrant, while distances were white and full of mystery. All of Bath that pretended to fashion or condition was present that evening at a fete at the house of a country gentleman of the neighborhood. When the stately junket was concluded, it was a pleasure of Monsieur de Chateaurien to form one of the escort of Lady Mary's carriage for the return. As they took the road, Sir Hugh Guilford and Mr. Bantison, engaging in indistinct but vigorous remonstrance with Mr. Molyneux over some matter, fell 50 or more paces behind, where they continued to ride, keeping up their argument. Half a dozen other gallants rode in advance, muttering among themselves, or attended laxly upon Lady Mary's aunt on the other side of the coach, while the happy Frenchman was permitted to ride close to that adorable window which framed the fairest face in England. He sang for her a little French song, a song of the voyageur who dreamed of home. The lady, listening, looking up at the bright moon, felt a warm drop upon her cheek, and he saw the tears sparkling upon her lashes. "Mademoiselle," he whispered then, "I too have been a wanderer, but my dreams were not of France. No, I do not dream of that home, of that dear country. It is of a dearer country, a dream country, a country of gold and snow," he cried softly, looking at her white brow and the fair, lightly powdered hair above it. "Gold and snow, and the blue sky of a lady's eyes." "I had thought the ladies of France were dark, sir." "Cruel! It is that she will not understand. Have I speak of the ladies of France? No, no, no. It is of the fairest country. Yes, 'tis a province of heaven, mademoiselle. Do I not renounce my allegiance to France? Oh, yes, I am subject, no, content to be slave, in the land of the blue sky, the gold, and the snow." "A very pretty figure," answered Lady Mary, her eyes downcast. "But does it not hint a notable experience in the making of such speeches?" Tormentress! No, it prove only the inspiration it is to know you. We English ladies hear plenty of the like, sir, and we even grow brilliant enough to detect the assurance that lies beneath the courtesies of our own gallants. Merci, I should believe so, ejaculated Monsieur de Chateaurien, but he smothered the words upon his lips. Her eyes were not lifted. She went on, "We come in time to believe that true feeling comes faltering forth, not glibly, that smoothness betokens the adept in the art, sir, rather than your true your true—" She was herself faltering, more, blushing deeply, and halting to a full stop in terror of a word. There was a silence. "Your